और ये मिस्टर जमी
जब खाने का टाइम होता है ना नजर नहीं रहती वो जब जा रहे थे मैंने दो कि अल्लाह खैर खैरियत से कल
कम। अब वो छोड़ो, तुम खाने की बात करो तो तुम किधर की बात
यही खाने के लिए कल जा रहे थे, वो छोड़ दो,
कुछ तो खाने के लिए नहीं जा रहे,
वो आप जा रहे
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. Good morning, shares. We, inshallah, complete our training course. Now we are in the middle of the course. We have finished 5 days, and inshallah, we have to complete our course. The important partitions of our course inshallah will be end tomorrow. As it is a focused partitions in OSHA 30 hours requirements in general industry. Please, if my voice is clear for you, write to me one. If my voice clear for you, write to me one. Thank you. So today, inshallah, we will finish personal protective equipment, and tomorrow, inshallah, we will take the emergency assessment or hazard assessment, hazard communications, hazard evaluation. This is the important partitions in our course. We take the means of egress and the exit routes. We take fire extinguishers. We we studied the firefighting plan or fire protection plan, FPP, and we have emergency action plan, EAP. And today, inshallah, we will complete personal protective equipment, PPE. Tomorrow, inshallah, we will finish the hazards assessments, hazards communications, hazards evaluation, and so we will complete the focused or the focus partitions in our course. Other partitions of our course we will take same as in the training course of 30 hours. Why I focus for this? As it is our practical. Our practical, we should know if you finish this course and you know after this course how can you make fire protection plan, how can you make emergency action plan, how can you differentiate between the fire extinguishers by its shape, but what is the types of it, what is the methods of them, how can you use them, how can you identify the exit routes, and how can you deal with if you can know how can you deal with these situations, and how can you differentiate between emergencies, fire extinguishers. Okay, all of this, what is we need to know, okay, for our life, for our workplace, for our company. Okay, so so that it is, I focus for this partitions. I give you some knowledge more than the training course for OSHA need, or more than this course 30 hours need. So I focus for them. After tomorrow, inshallah, we have only some training lectures for safety in various workplaces, like safety in working at height, safety in cranes, safety in confined space, electrical safety, welding safety. All of these are situations or safety in workplaces. Okay, all of this we will have a quick view as the requirements of OSHA 30 hours requirements. We will not go in depth like we take before. Okay, so today and tomorrow is the final of the focused lectures. After that, we will take a quick view lectures as the requirements of OSHA 30 hours general industries. The previous lectures and today and tomorrow lectures we are going in depth. We take more information for us for our practical. Let's complete what we started yesterday. And before I start, I should apologize for you for yesterday, as I can't return to the office yesterday, as I have many tasks from maybe 2 months ago. as I have now I am calibration laboratory manager, so I have a new tasks. I'm very sorry as I am busy. So I will complete. Inshallah, we will finish from today until the finishing this course. We will take 3 lectures. 3 lectures, each one of them 45 minutes, and we have only 15 minutes break between them. One of them 30 minutes. The first break will be 30 minutes for Salat al-Zuhr prayer, and the other break will be 50 minutes only for coffee break. Okay, shall we start, inshallah? By the end of the lecture today, we will, inshallah, I will give you our schedule for finishing our lecture, and we can update in the schedule by the end of the day, and how can you deal with the exam. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. We complete what we started yesterday, personal protective equipment, a quick view of topics, general PPE requirements, who pays for PPE, safety belts and back belts, PPE selection, one size does not fit all, and conduct a hazard assessment, PPE training, hands-on how to. And we finish this first lecture for PPE. Second one, types of PPE. We started yesterday for 7.1, eye and face protection. Today, inshallah, we will complete respiratory protection, head protection, hand protection, food protection, and electrical protective equipment and hearing protection. Okay. I will give you a quick view what we started yesterday for eye and face protection. In order to take this a quick view, we have we talk about glasses and goggles, what the types of them, and face shields and the welding shields. And I give you this. Please, can you see with me? This is the our spot right here. We have a safety glasses. This is type of safety glasses, safety goggles, face shield, and welding face shield. Okay. And this is the Google types. This is the direct ventilated goggles. This is indirect ventilated goggles and non-ventilated goggles. This is the types of goggles. Okay, today, inshallah, we will restart with respiratory protection. Before I will start with any questions for the lecture number 1 of PPE. Please, if you have any questions in previous lecture, please write to me or write to me clear. No, thanks, Mr. Rauf. If it is clear, please write to me clear to continue, please. Mr. Bilal, thanks, Mr. Bilal, Mr. Anan Dababu. Good morning, Mr. Anan Dababu. Mr. Misfar, Mr. Amjadullah, Mr. Shahir, Mr. Ahmed. Okay, Mr. Jalal, Mr. Jimmy, thanks. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Abu Mahdi. Okay, thank you, Mr. Kudus. Thank you for all. Okay, let's go for a respiratory protection. Respiratory protection is important to employees are exposed to potentially hazardous atmospheres. Respirator must be conform to what? Conform to ANSI standards and OSHA standards. And we said yesterday before, what is ANSI? It is American National Standards. Okay, ANSI standards. Z the number of ANSI. ANSI Z 8288.2. Okay, what is ASSE? It is another organization. If you see any standard name begin with two abbreviations, okay, between them slash, like ISO IEC, ISO slash IEC, here ANSI slash ASSE, okay, that is the meaning. It is a committee, a combination from two organizations. ISO IEC, like standard ISO IEC 17025, it is a combination between two standards, two organizations, ISO and IEC. This standard here, it is a combination committee between ANSI organization and ASS organization. Okay, the number of this standard is Z88.2, practices for respiratory protection, and the OSHA standard 134 respiratory protection. Please, can you keep in your mind? Please, can you keep in your mind this number? OSHA standard 1910.134. Please keep this in your mind. Okay. Respirator types. To understand how respirators can be used to protect employees, it is important to understand what is a respirator, what a respirator is, and what it is not. A respirator protects against respiratory hazards, okay, by removing specific or contaminants from the ambient surrounding air, okay, by supplying breathable air from a safe source. يعني خليني اكلم زملائنا العرب، الفكره في اجهزه التنفس ان هي بتحميك ضد المخاطر التنفسيه، بان هو بيزيل ملوثات الهواء من الجو المحيط بيك، او واسطه انه يضخ هواء صحيح، او قدره على التنفس، ان انت تتنفس بشكل صحيح. So you have here two types or two mechanisms of the respirator. One of them removing contaminants, another is supplying a breathable air. Okay, so we will take both of them. Okay, here is a tight fitting respirators. It is quarter mask. It is according to the size of for the face, and half mask and full face piece. Again, it is, if it is clear, okay, quarter mask, half mask, and full face piece. Okay, types of respirators, only two types. One of them removing contaminants, we call it air purifying respirators. Air purifying respirators. What is the mechanism of working for that? It removes contaminants from air. Okay, this is number one. This is the shapes. Okay, number two is atmosphere supplying, what to provide a clean and breathable air. So we have two types according to the mechanism of them. Okay, we will explain them in details. Okay, respiratory protection. Okay, respirator types. Air purifying respirators. What is the air purifying respirators? Respirators that remove contaminants from the ambient air are called air purifying respirators. Particulate respirators are a type of air purifying respirator. The part of a respirator that forms a protective barrier between the user's respiratory tract and the air contaminants. What it is doing? It is a barrier. It is a barrier between the user and the air. the users and the air is called inlet covering. It is inlet covering اللي هو المدخل للوجه. Most inlet covering are classified by either tight fitting or loose fitting اللي هو محكم او الايه او الفضفاض. Okay, we have now air purifying respirators. Please, in order to pay attention with me, we have only two types of respirators according to the mechanism. Air purifying respirators, it is number one, and the another one atmosphere supply. Now we discuss about air purifying respirators. Okay, air purifying respirators classified into two: one tight fitting, another is loose fitting. Okay, this is all shapes of a respirator air purifying. Okay, and we will discuss each one of them. Okay, air purifying respirators in details. The air purifying respirators, or APR, please, APR. This abbreviation should be known. APR, air purifying respirator, has an air purifying filter. Has an air purifying filter, cartridge or canister. And canister. Okay, that remove specific air contaminants such as particulates, gases, vapors, or both from the air. So the cartridge or canisters, okay, can be different according to the contaminants. Again, the cartridge, the filter in cartridge, inside cartridge or canister, which is a container for the filter. Okay, this filter can be changed. The type of the filter changed according to the gases or vapor or what is the air contaminants you can face. Okay, how can I know the air contaminants which the employee or the user can be faced? I ask you now. How can you know? How can you identify the type of filters or the type of the air purifying respirators according to the air contaminants? How can we identify the air contaminants? How can you identify air contaminants? Okay, I will make a refresh for you. When we discussed yesterday chemical hazard, very good. Here is hazard assessment, very good. Yesterday we said the employer when he provide the PPE, he should, before providing PPE, he should make a risk assessment or hazard assessment. Okay, air chemical ID. Okay, very good. Okay, so we can know the air contaminants according to what hazards assessments we do before. Okay, we our users or our employees in this workplace can be face what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of hazards. How can we control? We need air purifying respirators which need this type 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so according to the hazard assessments, we can identify air contaminants, so we can identify the types of respirators. Okay, agree with me? Okay, if it is clear, write to me clear or write to me one. Mr. Raouf, Mr. Omar, Mr. Muhammad, Mr. Nasser, Mr. Ransom. Thank you, Mr. Amadi. Thank you for all. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's complete. Selecting an appropriate filter, cartridge, or canister can be complicated. Why? Because there are many types, as I explained for you, and the non-protect against for all contaminants. It is non-protect against for all contaminants. That is why it is necessary to identify each respiratory hazard in your workplace before you select respirator. Okay. Okay. Air purifying respirators, okay, are available in two types. Two types. Okay. One of them is non-powered, another is powered types. Okay. This classification according to the presence of power supply. Okay, we have another classification according to what here this is a tight fitting or loose fitting according to the fitting type. Okay, so the air purifying can be tight or loose, can be powered or non-powered. Non-powered air purifying respirators, when using a non-powered air purifying respirator, the user operates it simply by breathing. The three basic types are half mask or dust mask, half mask elastomeric, and the full face piece, which is elastomeric. I show you here. Here, if you see this, if you see the first one, you see with me, the first one is half mask or dust mask. Okay, this is powered or non-powered. This is non-powered. There is no any power supply here. That's right. Okay, non-powered. Here, half mask elastomeric. Okay, this have the half of the face. Okay, so it is half mask. The full face piece, he is elastomeric, and all of these three are non-powered. Okay. Let's complete. The powered air purifying respirators. This type of respirator has a blower that forces ambient air through one or more filters attached to an inlet covering. The powered type is easier to breathe, okay, than the non-powered type, but needs a fully charged battery to work properly. This is the power supply like this. Here, if you see the number 4 is tight fitting full face piece powered air purifying respirator. Here, okay, the number 5 here, tight fitting half face piece powered air purifying respirator. Okay, this is powered. Both of them is powered air purifying respirators. I ask you one question: what is easier, a powered or non-powered? What is easier for user for breathing? In breathing, what is easier, powered or non-powered? Please write to me only powered B or NB. Powered, Mr. Raouf, Mr. Nasser, Mr. Omar, please. Again, what is easier, Mr. Omar? What is easier in breathe? Okay, powered or non-powered? If you use one now, if you see with me, if you see this mask, we use this mask. It is a medical one. Okay, this is a medical mask. Okay, if can you breathe easily for this? Is a practical. It is not easy. Okay, so it is a practical. Okay, a powered one, a powered air purifying respirator is more easier than the non-powered one. Okay, Mr. Muhammad. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for all. Let's complete. Okay, now. Okay, so we know now what is non-powered air purifying and what is powered air purifying. We have another classification according to type of fitting. We have a tight fitting respirator and we have loose fitting respirator. Tight fitting respirator is a has an inlet covering, also called a face piece or mask, designed to form a seal. A seal with the face. يعني يسموه زي حزام او بيربط الوجه. Okay, a seal with the face of the wearer. It is available in 3 types: quarter mask, half mask, or full face piece mask. Okay, this a tight fitting. Okay, and we have a loose fitting. A loose fitting respirator has inlet covering that typically covers the user. Okay, complete user's head, and may extend over the shoulders. Okay, may extend over the shoulders. It is designed to form a partial seal. Okay, a complete seal is a tight fitting. A partial seal is a loose fitting. Partial seal with the face. This includes a loose fitting face pieces, as hoods, helmets, or full suits, all of which cover the head completely, like that. Show with me, please. Number 6, loose fitting powered air purifying. Loose fitting. This is a loose fitting and hood powered air purifying. Okay, this is a types of loose fitting. So a head mask, a half mask or dust mask can be considered a loose fitting or a tight fitting. Half mask considered as loose fitting or a tight fitting? Tight fitting. Very good, Mr. Rauf. Okay, very good. Okay. 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 Okay, thank you. Shall we complete? Okay. So this is all about the air purifying respirators. Okay. What is the mechanism of air purifying respirators, which purify the contaminants of the ambient or surrounding air? Okay. The second type of the respirator, atmosphere supplying respirators. It is atmosphere supplying respirators. Respirators that supply air from a safe source, not from ambient air, not from surrounding air. Okay, from a safe source other than ambient air are called atmosphere supplying respirators. That are 2 types of atmosphere supplying respirators. Supplied air respirators, SAR. Please concentrate in these types. SAR, or self-contained breathing apparatus, SCCPA. Self-contained breathing apparatus. Okay, like this. If you see here, the full face piece supplied air respirator, all of this full face piece. All of this type is a full face piece. Full face piece. Okay. Okay, let's go to the atmosphere supplying respirators. Atmosphere supplying respirators are used to provide breathing air from a source independent of the ambient atmosphere. Respirators. Okay. Respirators that supply breathing air are generally used in highly hazardous work environments. So the second type of respirators, it is usually used for a highly hazardous work environments. It is critical that such respirator systems provide breathing air from optimal quality and that equipment operates reliably. Okay, so it is for a highly hazardous. Okay. The 2 types of the atmosphere supplying respirators, atmosphere respirators, ASR. The number 1 is supplied air respirators, SAR, also known as airline respirators. Is known as airline. They can ask you in the exam. any questions, and he don't say to you supplied air respirator. He can say to you any questions about airlines respirators. Receive what is the mechanism of this types of respirators? It receives air from a containing hose. The source of the air is either a pressurized cylinder or an air compressor. Okay, because the employee does not carry the air on his or her back, when using a SAR. Breathing air can be provided over a longer time period than it is in the case of SCBA. Okay, it may be a longer period than in the case of the SCBA. Self-contained breathing apparatus. Okay, air is supplied from a tank. Again, air is supplied from a tank, a cylinder of compressed air or oxygen. For this type of respirator, the source of breathing air is designed to be transported by or within equipment user. So one the first one, self-contained breathing apparatus, you have the apparatus with you. Carry on in bag, carry in your waist, carry in your back. Okay, another one which is supplied air respirators. Okay, the source is this without you, without the user. Okay, I will show you in the video. Like what if you have working inside the confined space, so your container of your cylinder of air cannot be continue with you. So you want a supply of oxygen for a long time. So a supplied air respirator is suitable for you. Okay, I will show you in the next video. Okay, here I wanted to show you something. It is outside our course, but if you study this lecture, I am as a trainer, I should give you all information I know, and all information you need to ask. Okay, before you ask. Here, for this picture, you see the type of the type of the respirators. Okay, you have here number. This number is ABF. ABF, it is not the abbreviation of the respirator name. Okay, ABF this is the indicator or a factor. Okay, so if you see here also, you have each type of respirators have a ABF number. What is this ABF number? I give you this brief only. If you need more information, I will give you the source of OSHA standard. You can take all of information for this. I add this slide to know what is the definition of ABF. What is ABF? As there are another abbreviation. What's MUC? ABF assigned protection factor. I said to you, it is a factor. Is assigned protection factor means the workplace level of respiratory protection. That a respirator or a class of respirators is expected to provide the employees when the employer implements a continuing effective respiratory protection program. So it is a factor for the respiratory workplace respiratory protection for your workplace level. What is MUC? MUC is a maximum use concentration, means the maximum atmospheric concentration of a hazardous substances from which an employee can be expected to be protected when wearing a respirator, and it is determined by assigned protection factor of a respiratory or class of the respirators and the exposure limit for of the hazard substance. This for you, these definitions for you. It is not for exam. It is for you to know what is, when you review these pictures, you will see what is ABF for this, each one of the respirators. Okay, what is the source for this ABF and MUC? The source is, I give you now, and you sharing. This is a course. This is a source is assigned protection factors for the revised respiratory protection standard. This is the, all of this is the in details. Okay, it is more details if you need to know about this respiratory protection. If you need to establish a respiratory protection system for your workplace, please send to me in your WhatsApp, by WhatsApp. You need the source of this. I can send you. You are welcome at any time. I think I said to you before in previous lecture, if you need the publication of 1388 of OSHA, this is for how can you implement emergency action plan. Send to me by WhatsApp. I give you an surprise. Only 2 participants said to me. Only 2 participants. One of them, I know him as a friend. He said to me only as he said to me, I don't want to forget, so I will send you. Okay. Please, any publication more than the course, you can ask me by WhatsApp. I will send it to you. Okay. Now, before we finish this lecture, I ask you before also seeing the video, please, if anyone for a respiratory protection have any question, please write to me. Please, if it is clear, write to me clear. Mr. Anand Babu. Thanks. Okay. Now is our respiratory protection is clear? Okay. You know, my friend, our participant in this course said to me now, and I want this. he don't write what is this, but he wants this. Please send me this. Okay. Okay. Thank you for all. Thank you for all. I wanted to show you a very comprehensive video for a respiratory protection. But I want you please focus on everything in safety. You will be seen in any video for safety from outside, from USA, from Europe. All of them is documented. Okay, no thing is verbal. Okay, so please concentrate in the documentation inside the following the next video. Okay, thank you. I will share video now.
This video provides a brief overview and general information on respiratory hazards in general industry and respiratory protection program requirements. OSHA uses the term general industry to refer to all industries not included in agriculture, construction, or maritime. The Federal Occupational Safety and Health Administration, also called OSHA, and state OSHA agencies require employers to have respiratory protection programs if their workers are required to wear respirators on the job. This video does not cover all of the things that your employer must do under federal OSHA or state OSHA respiratory protection standards. This video can be part of the OSHA-required respiratory protection training, which includes many topics, like how to put on and take off a respirator and how to use, clean, and maintain your respirator. Your employer must also provide you with worksite-specific training. While this video discusses some of your employer's responsibilities under OSHA's respiratory protection standard, it is important to remember that the purpose of a respirator is to protect your health and safety. Respiratory hazards can exist in various forms at general industry work sites. They may be gases, vapors, dusts, mists, fumes, smoke, sprays, and fog. Some of these substances can make you sick or kill you if you breathe them in. Certain respiratory hazards act quickly, like carbon monoxide, an invisible odorless gas which can make you unconscious or kill you in minutes. Other respiratory hazards can take years to make you sick, like asbestos, which can cause lung cancer years or even decades after you breathe it in. More examples of respiratory hazards in general industry include, but are not limited to, dusts, such as those found when adding dry ingredients to a mixture, metal fumes from welding, cutting, and smelting of metals, solvent vapors from spray coatings, adhesives, paints, strippers, and cleaning solvents, infectious agents, such as tuberculosis bacteria in healthcare settings, chemical hazards such as chlorine gas and anhydrous ammonia in chemical processing and use operations, sensitizing vapors or dusts such as isocyanates, certain epoxies, and beryllium, oxygen deficiency, which might be found in confined spaces, and pharmaceuticals during the production of prescription drugs. When there are respiratory hazards in your workplace, your employer must use several methods to reduce your exposure to them, including engineering controls, such as local exhaust ventilation, work practice controls, such as applying coatings using a brush rather than a spray, and administrative controls, such as minimizing the exposure time or the number of workers exposed to the hazard. When you and your coworkers cannot be adequately protected from respiratory hazards through use of these methods, then your employer must provide you with an appropriate respirator to protect your health. Respiratory protection must be selected based on the hazard you will be exposed to on the job. Not every respirator will protect you against every hazard, so it's important for your employer to select the right one. For example, filtering facepiece respirators may protect you against particulate hazards such as dusts. However, a filtering facepiece respirator will not protect you against gas and vapor hazards such as solvent vapors. If you are exposed to airborne hazards that are not particulates, you will need a different type of respirator. For example, you could use an air purifying respirator with chemical cartridges or an atmosphere supplying respirator, such as an airline respirator or a self-contained breathing apparatus, also known as an SCBA. In addition, atmosphere supplying respirators are the only respirators that will protect you against hazardous atmospheres like carbon monoxide and lack of oxygen. Remember, selecting an appropriate respirator is your employer's responsibility. When respirators must be used in your workplace, your employer must have a respiratory protection program. This program must meet the requirements of either the federal OSHA or your state OSHA respiratory protection standard. The standard requires your employer to do the following: develop and implement a written respiratory protection program. Evaluate the respiratory hazards in the workplace. Select and provide appropriate respirators. Provide worker medical evaluations and respirator fit testing. Provide for the maintenance, storage, and cleaning of respirators. Provide worker training about respiratory hazards and proper respirator use. Evaluate workers' use of respirators and correct any problems. Provide you with access to specific records and documents, such as a written copy of your employer's respiratory protection program, and conduct a periodic program review. Because each workplace is different, it is very important that your employer's respiratory protection program address your specific workplace. For example, workplaces may differ in the following ways: the types and amount of respiratory hazards present, the people who manage the program, the policies and procedures for tasks such as respirator selection, maintenance, and use, and other exposure control methods such as using local exhaust ventilation. Workplace conditions that affect respiratory hazards and respirator use may change over time. Therefore, the written program must be updated as necessary to account for those changes in workplace conditions that affect respiratory hazards and respirator use. For example, changes in workplace conditions related to respiratory hazards could include new work processes or techniques, such as installing a new electroplating line, the use of new or different materials or chemicals, changes in the amount of a respiratory hazard in the workplace, or changes in the types of respirators being used. Notify your supervisor if something changes in your workplace that conflicts with or may not be covered by your respirator training or established workplace policies or procedures. Your employer's respiratory protection program must be managed by a qualified, trained program administrator. This person must monitor the program and make sure that you and your coworkers are adequately protected. The program administrator will know a lot about your workplace respiratory protection program and should be able to answer any questions you may have about respirator use. The program administrator must know about the requirements of the federal OSHA or state OSHA respiratory protection standard and evaluate the program periodically and make any necessary changes. This video has provided you with a brief overview of respiratory hazards in general industry and respiratory protection program requirements. There are many other things that you must know and do before you can safely use a respirator in a hazardous work environment. While this video may be part of your respiratory protection training, your employer must also provide you with additional training on respirators, including worksite-specific training. Remember, if you don't know if a respirator is needed for the task you will be doing, or if you are unsure about how to properly use a respirator or which filter or cartridge to use, talk to your supervisor before entering the hazardous area. For more information about respirator use in your workplace, refer to these OSHA and NIOSH websites. You will find OSHA's Respiratory Protection Standard, additional respirator training videos, and other guidance material to help you work safely.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. This video I think is useful in respiratory our respiratory system. Mr. Nasser Khan can provide us like this respiratory system for our Galvin chilling house. With me, Mr. Nasser Khan. Very good. Okay, thank you for your time. Please, we inshallah will return for second lecture. Now is 12:05. Please, we can return at 12:45. Please, we will return inshallah 12:45 for praying and cover break. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Okay. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.